Hey guys, this is Jack from Team Empire, and today I am covering the new Stoicheia ride line that was introduced in Set 11 Clash of the Heroes, that being the Mystiark ride line. This is our third Water Dragon ride line, which is pretty funny that we have three of them now. But unlike the last two, this doesn't really play like Aqua Force at all. It kind of plays more like Bermuda Triangle almost, where they're like bouncing rear guards back and then calling rear guards. So that's kind of interesting. We're going to be talking about the ride line first, and then we're going to be talking about the three support cards that were introduced for this deck. The first one we have is Mystiark Penguilmeko. Weird name. But it's this average starter. It's the same as every other starter. If you win second, draw a card. It's okay. Not really. I mean, it's cute at least. That's the only thing I can say about it. Next up, we have the grade 1 for the ride line, which is Mystiark Arundorina, which has the effect auto. When this unit is rode upon by a grade 2 with Mystiark in its card name, call this card to rearguard circle. Then continuous back row rearguard circle. If your other rearguard with Mystiark in its card name is placed by your unit's ability this turn, and your vanguard is grade 3 or greater, all of your front row units in the same column as this unit get plus 5k power. So a very nice card. Being able to call itself from soul does help Luluszulu's main condition, which is to fill up your board as fast as possible so that when you go into your grade 3, you can have 5 rear guards or 5 units and then immediately make your opponent discard 1. So that's pretty nice. And then that second effect is also very nice because a lot of cards in this deck call cards by effects. The grade 3 does it, and the grade 2 can also loop some of your rear guards and call them and reset their on-play skills, but also make it so they are called by a unit's ability. So this unit will power up your other rear guards for 5k power, which is very nice. And then we have the other grade 2 for the ride line, which is Mystiark Lulu's Manta, which has the effect auto. When this unit is rode upon by a grade 3 with Mystiark in its card name, you can call this card to rearguard circle. Then auto, when this unit is placed in a rearguard circle, if you have 3 or more units with Mystiark in their card names, you may soul charge 1. Then choose one of your opponent's rear guards, and that unit cannot intercept until the end of this turn. So this is the first kind of stun effect that the ride line has, which honestly is really nice. If this is released like way earlier, I would say it's just kind of okay. You know, shutting off a 5k shield interceptor is pretty nice, but we have cards like Obscadede in the meta, which is really annoying for a lot of Stoicheia decks to deal with because most Stoicheia decks get rid of rear guards by retiring them, which obviously doesn't work because of the grade 1 research. So using this card to prevent that unit from intercepting is another way to get rid of 10k shield for Eva, because that's one of Eva's main defenses, is using their Obscadedes. So this can be a very nice effect. And also it could work against other decks that have big shield interceptors, like Garda, I think that's her name. I might butcher that, but it's the interceptor for Chronojet. They also have Kuljamid for Orphist, which is a 15k interceptor from the back row, so you can just use this to choose that one, and now all of a sudden it can't even move anymore. So overall, a very nice skill, and it can be used early. You just had to have 3 or more units with Mystiark in their card names, which is very easy to fulfill since every card in this ride line has Mystiark in their name. So very nice grade 2. And then we have Mystiark Luluszulu, which has the effect auto. When this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 grade 3 or less unit card from among them, call it to Vanguard Circle, and shuffle your deck. If you have 5 or more units, your opponent chooses a card from their hand and discards it. Then, auto Vanguard Circle. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, costs Counterblast 1, choose one of your rear guards with Mystiark in their card names and return it to their hand. Then you choose the 1 unit card from your hand with Mystiark in its card name and with a different name as the card returned to the hand by this effect and call it to rearguard circle. So it does pretty much everything. It can look at top 7, it can plus by just calling 1, make your opponent -1 by discarding a card from their hand, and can multi-attack. Unfortunately, the multi-attack isn't exactly the best because you have to call a Mystiark and it has to be a different card name than the one you bounced. I kinda get this, so you can't easily loop your Mystiark's effects, but at the same time, I kinda wish you just let people do it, because it can be pretty hard, I feel like, to find all your Mystiarks, but I guess that's the incentive to play multiple Mystiarks in your deck. So overall a nice boss unit, and I think it is honestly pretty decent. And on Persona Ride turns, I can see this grade 3 being kind of crazy, because not only do you get to give plus 10k to your field, you get to draw one, but then you get to call another card for your Persona Ride turn, and then make your opponent -1 again. And making your opponent discard a card on a Persona Ride turn where you can multi-attack is pretty huge. So I actually really like this grade 3, but now let's move on to the support units. The first one we have is a grade 1, which is our Mystiark Uzazatar, which has the effect Auto Record Circle. When this unit boosts a unit with Mystiark in its card name, if there are 3 or more face down cards in your damage zone and you did not CC this turn, you CC 1. So it's a countercharger for the archetype, which is pretty nice overall. It's not the best countercharger because it's a hard once per turn because you've had to not CC that turn, and it only does it if you have 3 or more face down. I would have preferred it if you could just CC 1 even when you're at like 1 damage, because it would have meant the deck has more, can play more defensively, but it's still a fine card, and plus it is a Mystiark, so you will have to play it at multiple copies just to make sure you can fill your board with Mystiarks. Next up, we have the double rare for the archetype, which is Mystiark Milurin, which has the effect Auto. When this unit is placed in Record Circle, if you have 3 or more units with Mystiark in their card names, this unit gets plus 5k power until end of turn. Then, cost Soul Blast 1, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, and that unit cannot stand during your opponent's next stand phase. And then it has second ability, act Record Circle once per turn. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Mystiark in their card names, cost bind one of your rear guards with Mystiark in its different card name, and then call the card bound for this cost to Rear Guard Circle. So overall, I actually really like this effect. The second effect is super interesting because it means you can reset some of your on-play skills, because basically every Mystiark has an effect that at least interacts with cards that are called by units' abilities. This involves the grade 1, which can power up the front row. This involves the grade 2 that can shut off your opponent's interceptors if you lose that one. It also involves a grade 3 we'll talk about in a second, which allows you to draw a card as your main source of draw power. So using that effect can be very interesting and very fun, and that second effect is very, very cool. It's a stun effect, very akin to Mega Colony, but given to a Stoicheia ride line. On top of that, you can play this card down early. It doesn't matter, you don't need to have a grade 3 Mystiark, you just need to have 3 or more Mystiark units, which this one counts, and your Vanguard counts. You just need to have one more, which will be your grade 1, so it already fulfills that condition, and it gets 5k power, meaning it can rush, and allows you to Soul Blast 1 to prevent some of your opponent's offense on their next turn. Like say they were trying to rush you, you can play this card down, shut down, paralyze one of their units, and then now they have to play like they're paralyzed, -1 themselves. So I like this grade 2 a lot. It's probably my favorite Mystiark, maybe second favorite, because the next one is the main source of draw power, and I love myself some draw power in my decks. So now we have the grade 3 for the final card we'll talk about today, which is our Mystiark Alparal, which has the effect Auto. When this unit is placed in Record Circle, if you have 3 or more units with Mystiark in their card names, this unit gets plus 5k power until end of turn. Then you can counterblast 1 to draw a card. Very nice source of draw power for the deck. It can get relatively CB heavy if you loop this with the grade 2 and obviously your Luluszulu, because that's also a counterblast, but that is what the countercharger is for. So looping this even like once can lead to 2 draws, which is pretty nice, but looping it like 3 times would probably be ideal, because you can place it, draw 1, use the grade 2's effect, bind it, call it, draw another one, and then use, if you have another one in hand, you can use Luluszulu's effect, bounce your grade 2, call it, skill, draw another card. So overall, I think this card is really, really nice. Probably my favorite Mystiark besides the grade 2. Overall, I think the deck is cool. I think it's very fun. I like the idea of like having another rush deck in standard, because that was what I used to do with Magnolia a lot back in set 1 to 3. The deck was like built to rush the opponent down from like turn 2 onwards, and it was really fun. So having a deck that benefits the player from rushing can be really nice and really fun. Let me know what y'all think about the Luluszulu ride line. Let me know if you think it'll do anything to the meta, or if there's any fun things you thought of with the deck. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.